Hello everybody and welcome to Newark and Partisan. This is a game that the Dales War Game chaps have put on today and they've invited me to take part very kindly. We are refighting Quatre today from the scenario in Albion Triumph Volume 2. So we've got on the French left here, we've got a huge infantry formation. General Andy is in charge of these and he's moving the guys forward. Now we're trying the rules that I put forward in my video on having an artillery phase. We're going to try those today, see how they go. First shot of the game, the French artillery fired at the Dutch Belgians on the hill there and caused a disorder. They saved the wound, but it was a disordering hit. But we'll go over the battlefield. We've got on the left, as I said before, we've got an infantry division by the looks of things. In the centre we've got another infantry division. Then if I just pass this over Andy's head, there he is, ducking there. We've got the cavalry out on the right hand flank. So we've got the village there, a road which leads to the British positions. On the British left are the Highlanders. So at the front there, and then two line regiments behind. We've got the 95th Rifles taking position in the woods. Some more Highlanders in the centre there. We've got some artillery on the hill. And the Duke himself is up there, watching proceedings. I'm going to go around the battle here. We've got the centre of the British here. We've got four battalions of KGL, I think. Hanoverians, there you go, see. And that's going to be a tough nut to crack for the French there. And then moving over, we've got some Dutch. Yeah, very good. So I'm getting with my British allies, I'm getting there. So there's a crossroads that we'll be fighting over today. We want to be in Brussels for 4 o'clock. The Eurostar leaves in a bit, so we'll have to hurry up. Then we've got the Nassau on the flank here. Looks like they've got some French to contend with shortly. I'm going to have an interview with the chap who's put this game on, if he's okay with that shortly. But this is initial dispositions. I will be back at the end of French turn 1. And we'll see how it goes. Well, Andy should probably help him out as he's shoveling all these French forward. So the end of the French turn 1 sees a mass advance by the infantry forward. I think there was a couple of failed rolls there by the look of it, because they're in column of attack and they've got the pas de charge rule, they get to move anyway. It's more the column of attack that lets them move. The French cavalry, they were a lot less excitable, and only the Dragoon Brigade moved forward. So the Lancers and the Chasseurs, just in reserve, just seeing how it develops. So that's the end of French turn 1. Let's see what the British and their allies can do on British turn 1. So here we are at the end of British turn 1. I am saying British, obviously it's British and their allies. They've got Dutch and Belgian allies. And Germans as well, of course, so we saw the Hanoverians there. So it's been some artillery fire. They've disordered these columns in the centre and taken casualties on there. So they're taking casualties on that column on the French left as well. It's been mostly cannon fire, this one. Something that I should also point out as well, anyone who's wondering why the French didn't move very far in their turn, we've halved the move distances. Because we're only playing on quite a narrow table, we've decided to keep ranges the same, but we're halving the distance that the troops move. So that's the end of the British turn 1. We're now going to go on to French turn 2 and start off with the artillery fire. So the end of French turn 2 have seen them storm into the woods and get defeated by the Nassau infantry. Well, they didn't get defeated, they were fought to a standstill, which I think counts as a defeat, but hey, that's just me. Don't tell Andy I said that. And then supporting them, there's 2 more battalions there. On the French centre, they didn't do much moving, only one move there and one move there. The French brought on a brigade of infantry reserves in between the 2 batteries of guns there, and they'll be supporting the cavalry perhaps as they go and try and sort out some Brits. I'm not super confident that that's going to go well, but let's see. So that's the end of French turn 2, and now let's see how the Brits and the Allies can respond. Well, that was an interesting round of combat. The French and Nassau fought each other to a standstill in the woods, and being both over their stamina, they both had to test, and they both broke. So that was quite an interesting one. But the French managed to push forward one of their reserve battalions, so it's maybe not looking as bad for the French as it is for the Nassau contingent at this point. Of the rest of the turn for the British/Dutch Belgians seems to have been fairly uneventful. I know on the British left, the Highlanders didn't march out from behind the river. We're not using that as a defensible terrain piece, it's just for looks really. So this heavy cavalry, well, heavy in the sense of there's a lot of them, push is going to continue next turn hopefully, so let's see how it goes. So the end of French turn 3 sees the fight in the forest continue. It looks like this French battalion here is taking some heavy casualties. They're on 3 against what appears to be Nassau light infantry. So go light infantry, I guess. Well done for them. In the centre, the French have launched their mailed fist, as it keeps being referred to, towards the centre of the Dutch troops. It's going to be an interesting combat. Let's see how that goes, because the Dutch don't have the steady line special rule. So that may not go so well for the Dutch. But speaking of the steady line special rule, over here we have a battalion of Highlanders and 2 batteries of cannons, and those Highlanders definitely do. So I expect those 2 French columns to get pretty badly flayed in the British turn. Oh, there's tipping it up there. And then over here we've had both brigades have come on now to support the French cavalry. The Highlanders are going to move out from behind that stream again this turn if they get a chance. So that'll open that battle up there, and we'll see how it goes. At the moment I think it's looking pretty good for the French, but the firing hasn't started yet. So let's see how it goes in British turn 3. So here we are live in British turn 3. Anthony is firing at the French. So he's, let's see in real time how this goes. So he's got his battery of artillery there in canister range. That's 3 hits. And he saves only 1 of them. So they're not at their stamina yet, they're still going. But they've got another battery of guns to fire at them. Oh, that's only 1 hit, but it's that crucial disorder.
2 hits. 2 hits.
Oh, 2 hits, sorry, yes, because they're in column at close range. Sorry, my mistake. And they are now over their stamina as well. So they're going to need to test. Now the Highlanders, they haven't fired yet, so they get their extra dice as their first fire bonus. They're going to need 3 2s to hit. Just as well. That's 4 hits, but no disorders. Can Andy save enough of these?
2.
He saved 2. That's the crucial number. So they're still going to be able to charge in their next turn, unless there's a bit more funkiness coming from the British. We've got another battalion. I would say probably 2 dice from fire there, including the first fire bonus. There's that 6 and a 4. And he saves neither, so those 2 front French battalions now both needing to test for morale, and neither of them will be able to charge in the French turn. However, the 2 battalions behind can move through.
6.
So 6 down to 5 there, so drop back 2 moves and disordered.
Yep, pass them back.
So some withering fire from the British there. Beat off the front French battalion on the left and the French battalion on the right. On a 4, completely evaporates. They are gone. They're running back to Paris.
Clearing some space, did you?
Clearing some space for the guys behind.
They know. They know.
So what else happened in the British turn? Well, over here on the left, not a great amount. In the centre, they seem to have advanced. Yes? Okay, yeah, they've advanced there. Okay.
Advanced. The Germans are moving.
The Germans are moving forward. The Germans, they do like their advancing. So that's good. We've got some British cavalry over here. We've got some, well, I say British, we've got some Dutch cavalry. And the fight for the forest continues. 2 hits on the Nassau. And they're both saved. They fight back.
Oh, 3 hits. 3 hits. Oh.
So the French now saving on 4s. They lose their bonus for being in column.
So I've lost 2. So
they take 2 hits.
We lose. 7.
So 7 minus 2.
2, 5.
So they drop back 2 moves and they are disordered. Well, a fantastic defence of the forest by the Nassau troops there.
Your skirmishers beat them. Oh, skirmishers Germans again.
So that's absolutely crazy. The French fall back. Let's see if the rest of the brigade can actually clear out that tiny unit of Nassau skirmishers. Currently in the running for man of the match.
Stolen all my reserves, they'd have been coming up with it.
Absolutely, yeah, but the reserves are over there. So that is the end of French turn 4, and it's been the turn where the column has gone in, the heavy column there, just to the left of the road, went in, charged the regiment of Dutch infantry, and bounced. The Dutch are on 3 stamina though, so they are shaken. So I think the next turn the dam will probably break, but if we look at the casualties on the French units here, they're also quite badly shaken as well. Here on the extreme left, finally, the French were able to clear the wood of the Nassau skirmishers, so that was good. And then in the centre, the French were able to destroy the British artillery and pour through the gap in the middle there. Out on the right, superbly commanded, I must say, the French cavalry have moved further out to the right. They're pinning that British infantry in place, and then over here the reserves that came on over the hill are marching towards the Black Watch, and we'll see how that goes. So at the moment I think it's going pretty well for the French, but I've played this game far too many times to say, well, if it's going well now, that means it's going to end well. So that's the end of French turn 4. We'll be moving into British turn 4 next, and we'll see if they can strike back at the French. So we've reached the end of British turn 4, and finally their left flank has advanced across the river and is facing down the French cavalry here. The regiment of dragoons at the front there, they got disordered by the fire from the Highlanders. I need to put the smoke on there in a second, but they're now dangerously exposed to the French cavalry. Moving over to the centre, the reserve French infantry division that came on is now fronting up against the Black Watch, so we'll see how that one goes. In the centre, the French were countercharged by the Hanoverian troops there and held to a standstill, so we'll see how that's going. Down here we've still got the reserves of French infantry. I'm sure my co-general will be sending them in his turn. And on the French left, this humongous combat here continues. An entire battalion of French disappeared from fire from the hill there, but the rest of it carries on as before. So I think it's still quite finely balanced. The British have just been reinforced by a host of Brunswickers, but we'll see how it goes. I think this next turn is going to be an important one for the French to see if their remaining infantry brigades can charge in. So that's the end of British turn 4. We'll be moving on to turn 5 next. So here we are now at the end of French turn 5. The French are pushing through the woods, not super quickly, but they've got 2 battalions here. They're in reserve, so it's not necessarily the end of the world. The battle on the hill continues, this huge swirling melee. The Dutch there seem to have taken root and are fighting back strong. So there was a bit of a slapfest this turn, and no one got destroyed. Moving slightly over here, we've got some more Dutch, maybe? They're Belgians. No, they're still Dutch, yeah, we've got them over there. Still fighting with the French. Over here though, we've had a huge change in the battle. That centre, yep, there's no French battalions there anymore. They're gone. So they were defeated in combat by the Hanoverians and the Scots, who of course have got tough fighters, which I'm sure they all remembered. Over here though, it's looking a little bit better where I'm in command, you know, just saying. And that's because I've got my 4 battalions of French infantry advanced, open fire with murderous fire, using their first fire. They're all 4 dice, including 3 hits, one of which was a disorder. Only 2 of them were saved. Wrong, sorry, only 1 of them was saved. So that Black Watch there, they're in a little bit of trouble this turn. The Lancers, they move forward as well. They're looking to exploit any issues that come about from the French infantry charge. And then over here on the far right of the French line, The Dragoons charge forward, putting both of those British battalions into square. The 2nd Regiment of Dragoons here, they were disordered, so they couldn't do anything. And the Chasseurs failed their roll. Even with a re-roll they failed, so that was a bit poor. But that's the end of French turn 5. It's looking pretty okay, I'm not sure. The British right, the French left, still very, very strong. I'm not so confident there. But over here on the centre right, I think the French are going to do quite well. Those 2 Scottish battalions, both disordered. This is going to be a crucial turn for the French. Let's see how it goes. So at the end of British turn 5, and things are getting serious. The rifles opened up, firing 2 shots. We said they were at -1 because they're firing through cover, and not the whole battalion could fire. So we thought that was a reasonable compromise. 2 shots, a 6 of 5, disorders the Lancers, and does another casualty on them. In the centre here, the French infantry survive a withering volley of fire from the British, who replaced the disordered Scots there. So they continue to be disordered under the new disordered retreat rule. Over here, the Brunswicker cavalry gallop through the hole made by the routed French battalion. So I don't know quite what's going to happen here. I think they might be about to see some artillery fire. Then over here, finally one of the Dutch units went and fled. So now we've got the route open to the 2nd Dutch militia, but they are quite badly beaten up already. So that's the end of British turn 5. Let's see how it goes for the French in their next 6th turn. I think this is going to be a crucial one. A momentous turn for the French there, as the hill was finally cleared of those Dutch ruffians that were holding up the French attack. I see some cheeky hussars over there. I'm not liking the look of those.
That's perfect.
So that's the left-hand flank for the French. It's looking a lot healthier for us over there, so that's good. Over here in the centre, they also broke the Dutch militia finally and got through there. The French infantry unit fell back after they destroyed them, which I think is probably the correct thing to do, keep the formation together. So that's something of a good plan from Andy there. I'm going to move over here, so I'm going to put it over Andy's head. There we go. So now we've got the centre here. That Brunswick cavalry, which was looking super scary, has now been shaken and disordered, so that's not too bad. Over the centre here, there was a bit of a gap made when this brigade charged in to the enemy. They fought themselves to a standstill. The French are not looking super healthy there, but maybe next turn they'll be able to reinforce the rest of the division, and that'll help them out. Over here on the flank, not really much happened. The British infantry are in square, and the French cavalry just pull back. They'll keep them there in square. I think what may happen next turn is those chasseurs might gallop into the woods and go on a rifle hunting expedition. Let's see how that goes now. So that's the end of French turn 6. We're going to move on to British and Allied turn 6 now. We've got a new brigade just arriving on the hill here. Let me zoom in on that one. So that's looking a little bit scary for the French. But as with most games of black powder, it's swinging this way and that. It's too close to call. I've got a suspicion how it's going to go, but don't tell that to the men. As far as we're concerned, those reinforcements are on the moon. So let's see how it goes in British and Allied turn 6. So at the end of British turn 6, yep, we've seen in the centre here a French battalion destroyed, and then their supporting battalion forced back and disordered. There they are, I couldn't find them for a second there. So we're going to have one more turn on this side of the crossroads. I think over here, a charge from the Dutch cavalry has seen the French thrown back off the hill, and the general who's in command of them has decided to pull his forces back and maybe have a breather before a little skirmish in a couple of days' time. I can't remember what it's called. What's it called? Yeah, Paddington, that's the one, yeah. So he's decided to rest his troops from there, because he's a bit of a coward, I think, personally. But here on the right, the French, who've been smashing their way forward for the entire game, are going to have one more. I think it is. They're going to have one more go and see if we can smash our way through. Not like the cowardly General Andy on the left. So we'll see how it goes. Last turn, and we'll see if we can break through the British lines. I'm not really feeling it, if I'm honest, but let's see how it goes. Well, night falls on Quatre with the final French assault going in here. It was some sneaky tactics by me, even if I do say so myself. The plan was for the French infantry to charge in to the British line. That would then pin them in line, while the Lancers could then charge in, hopefully destroy them. The Lancers would then be able to charge onto the battalion behind. The Brits would have the French infantry would have menaced the Scots there, who were still in a bit of trouble. But alas, it wasn't to be. The Lancers didn't make their charge, and the French infantry were held at the hedgerow by the valiant British. So that was the end of the game, really. I think we can say that it's a definite win for the Brits and Allies. They certainly know they've been in a fight, particularly over there on the left. But so do the French. I would say, casualty-wise, it's probably fairly balanced, to be honest. Although, I would say that if we're looking at troop quality, the British have lost a lot of their militia units, but not really many of their line units. So I think this would bode well for 2 days' time when they take up position on a small ridge near the town of Waterloo. Well, it's not actually really near the town of Waterloo, but whatever, there you go. On the ridge there and fight the battle. So I just want to say thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much to everyone who put on this game. So we've been at Partisan in Newark. So my opponents have been great. So thank you very much to Richie and Ant. But that's really the end of the game. I hope you've enjoyed the battle report. I've taken plenty of photos, so I'm hoping for the next few videos at least we get some decent figures on the channel, because they're not painted by me, so they'll actually be quite nice this time, so that'll make quite a nice change. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.